Welcome, everybody, to the Unsolicited Opinions podcast. I am, of course, your host, the Meerkat Monarch. Sorry for fucking up. For some reason, I'm not getting my god. Oh no, there it is. We're still. Yes, we are live. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some technical problems here.
Yeah, I fucked up, basically. And now, for some reason, my entire Google Hangout is...
Oh dear God!
It sure would have been nice if you had showed up early to work out these kinks, eh, John?
And now I could rejoin it. God damn it! And now everybody can see me. God.
That sucker.
Normally you have to stage that to make it that funny.
As I said, technical problems ahoy here.
Yeah, it's
The piranha fish tank is split. They're just running around chasing up all the secretaries.
yes.
The nuclear bomb, we lost it. All right, we were going to shoot the moon laser at it.
Sorry, evil. Sorry. We lost the nuclear warhead. Well,
Well, he wasn't
I
here
say,
to
I
defend
say
it like he
we.
was supposed to,
I say
so.
we. Plippy lost the fucking nuclear
Look,
warhead.
as
My
soon
job,
as the-
my job was the laser cannon on the moon. That was my job. It was Roy's job to look after the
Okay,
flipping nuclear
look,
bomb submarine.
Look, the bomb will the nuclear submarine will come back around on its second orbit. Okay, it wasn't me who put the overthruster on the stupid engine.
How did you get it up there, though? It's a submarine.
I didn't get it there.
I was
That's
going
where it
to ask that
began. That's where it began.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Who wants to
otherwise
think
you
a
just
rocket
put it in
engine underwater would be a great idea?
otherwise you have proven that the flat Earth theory is correct.
Look, I just pressed the button, okay? I didn't put the engine in.
Oh, you guys.
And people wonder why I just signed up to be in charge of logistics.
I didn't even get to introduce anybody, but okay. Well, I can. I'm of course the host, the Meerkat Monarch, sometimes known as Lillevik, and with me, as always, is Artivous Ira. We've lost our boss today. He overslept again.
Even though he pushed for us to start later so he wouldn't miss it.
Oh,
He's off trying to
actually, it
talk
was
about
me
the
who
Caroline
pushed it
Islands.
because of the Liverpool game. So,
Chelsea.
yeah, Liverpool Chelsea, and we won. Liverpool won.
I love that sports team. We won! Yes. Us, the fat fucks at home, watching the greatest athletes in the world.
Hey!
Roaring advice at them.
I am not fat. I am rotund.
I think it's ironic that
That doesn't change the fact that you didn't win shit.
No, that's true.
I wouldn't laugh, basically, because I just come off like losing 3 Overwatch games in a row. I'm very unhappy. My ranked score has gone right down.
Oh, buddy. That's all. Anyways, we got a bunch of topics this week. I didn't, because of the football game and so on, I didn't actually prepare too much. So I don't have a topics list, but we do have a bunch of topics.
Yeah, we did that while you were watching the game.
Yeah. No, I know.
We were off being productive.
We were all being productive.
I mean, we could start with, the headline topic.
Yeah, we're going to work into that. But first...
Yes, first. I actually have something that I want to bring up first because it's the... Or did you want to do something first? No, because I wanted to talk about...
I was looking for time filler anyway.
Yeah.
I was giving people a chance to jump on so we can make fun of Talib Kweli.
Oh, yeah.
And his art project.
Oh, God.
The new I was only pretending to be retarded has become, it was an art project.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And soliciting mobs against people, and yeah, he's a really, really nice guy. Oh,
Technically it is, because he has made quite the spectacle of himself. That's a key aim of any art project.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's that whole fucking
not gonna
performance
let,
art.
let
thing.
Jan get into his thing, and then we'll get into that
Yeah,
All right.
because I have words.
yeah. There was a speech at author seminar in Australia. I think it was. Let me just bring up the article, and we could actually. You know what? We could actually show this article.
All right.
In the live hangout. Let me just.
Sure would have been nice to plan this ahead of time.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Okay, so Lionel Shriver sparks censorship row in Australia after criticizing cultural appropriation fad.
Yes. Oh, I saw this.
Oh yeah, that. Oh, they. Ooh.
Prioritize. Jan, prioritize your screen share. So when we talk, it's still live. The thing.
Oh yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that. There you go.
The fact that it's true and it's a fad and it makes no sense. It was always going to be something that gets made fun of in 10 and 20 years. It was never meant to be something that was actually going to catch on because the logic was flawed inherently. You cultures mix and
That's how they adapt and grow.
Impossible to stop. That's literally how you stop hatred and you know by melding together. Like the majority of everybody's languages is now a hodgepodge of other languages. Like, is it appropriate? Is it cultural appropriation to use words that aren't, if so, then American English is fucked because our entire language is composed entirely of other cultures.
Well, if you think about it, even UK English, I mean, it's based off of flipping Latin.
Well, not just Latin,
It's
also
Latin appropriation.
I mean, Germanic and Norse as well, and also the Romantic languages, as in.
But it's like that.
China.
Like
French,
Japan has
French,
an entire.
Well, for example, the drink.
Japan has an entire second set of characters just for words that are foreign. To make words that are not Japanese dialect.
Well, it was just that I was just saying this is that in English the drink sherry. We call it sherry because we couldn't pronounce the actual original French saying of it, which was like sherry or something like that. So we just said cherry. What are we talking about?
Sherry.
Sherry. It's called sherry.
The cultural appropriation. I have the article in.
Okay, so
let's give
it a read. American author Lionel Shriver has sparked an international row about censorship, artistic license, and respect for minorities as she delivered a scathing attack on the concept of cultural appropriation. Shriver, author of We Need to Talk About Kevin, great title, I think. Maybe.
Yes, but we need to talk about Kevin. It's important.
Is this Kevin Sorbo? In which case, yes.
We should talk about Kevin Sorbo.
Which was turned into the 2011 film Tilda Swinton.
Swanton.
Sorry, I'm dyslexic and sight reading. It's not easy. Was invited to Brisbane.
Why did you take it upon yourself to
speak about the fiction of and identity politics? But instead of delivering a mild address, her speech, underlined, so shocked the organisers that they censored her on the festival website and publicly disavowed her remarks, hastily arranging a conference to you've moved it. To reboot her views. Okay, that's stupid. That is stupid.
Rebut her views. Yeah.
How dare you come to my country and offend our minorities?
Just the intro.
Somebody actually shouted that at her.
Yeah, just the intro of the article sort of says this journalist is not sure which side she's supposed to take in this fucking argument. Because with the apparently undesirable result that it almost comes across as even-handed. Yeah. It's the way that she describes the organizers, and Yeah.
No, I love this bit right here. It's like the woman accosted Shriver outside the hall and shouted, "How dare you come to my country and offend our minorities?" The author said that the woman had clearly not heard her speech, which made no mention of Australian minorities.
Mm-hmm.
It's seriously, it's like you just manufacture shit out of thin air so you can get your own 15 seconds of infamy.
Yeah, whenever I see these things, I always think of? I don't think of the people who go outside men's rights groups. I don't think about that. I think about that girl who went to that Milo talk and tried to throw that bin.
Yeah.
That's how I always think of these people now. No, she was screaming, shouting, threw the bin, threw her back out, and just carried on screaming.
I just imagine all of them having really, really nasal valley dialects.
Yeah, and fish mouth.
It's just, come on. You're just like totally appropriating our culture by writing about our minorities.
It's totes offensive, you guys. I'm triggered, literally. I am literally totes triggered.
I mean, don't you care about the, the
now
pillaging?
you're starting to sound like that woman. Because I heard the audio finally instead of just hearing it secondhand.
Yeah, you're gonna be on Gawker.
You're gonna be on Gawker.
She sounds exactly like that.
You're just gonna be like a total meme.
Oh, fucking normal.
Oh, it's just the incredible fucking gall it takes. I tweeted out about this early in the week.
You were that mad you tweeted about it.
Yeah, I
the hallmark of rage.
Yes, the hallmark of outrage. No, but it's just.
I'm writing an angry letter to the internet.
No, but it's this idiotic fucking behavior of, oh, we want diversity in in fiction and in literature, and then a few years later they say, but you can't write about us, or you can't write about them. We need to. It's almost like they're trying to set it up so that you get even racially segregated fucking literature.
Yeah,
well, it's what she said is perfect here. Do one of you want to read that next paragraph? Where she's saying, the paragraph.
She told
my German is slipping in.
Do black people have their own Shakespeare? Like, do they have like a black equivalent to Shakespeare? If you're going to segregate
no, we don't.
Tupac Shakur.
If you do not allow fiction writers to write from the perspective of people different from themselves, there is no fiction. Only, as noted in the speech, memoir.
Hang on. Yeah. What about Othello? That was a black main character written by a white man hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, like apparently Japanese renditions of Shakespeare's plays actually feature him as a character. So I guess they could just like have the black Shakespeare plays and include him like as a black Shakespeare character within them.
It'll be like Hermione. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Shakespeare is too close to spear. I'm not gonna.
What? Come on.
Dude, 2 weeks ago.
We already have Othello. Just let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Why are you referring to the Irish, anyways?
Yeah, are we gonna disallow black people from writing about white people then?
No, the whole thing about this is the problem is they literally can't understand that they're incapable of understanding that someone from another race can be empathetic towards someone of another race and understand them. Yeah. This entire concept fails when it is put up to the idea that someone might actually possibly understand somebody else's pain that isn't of their race. And that's why the concept has always been flawed and always been incorrect in its assumptions, because it fails on that fundamental level.
It's also incredibly destructive of trying to achieve any sort of justice or coexistence.
Yeah, the thing that I've always thought was the odd counterpoint was always the whole. All right, let's go back to Ghostbusters, for example. It says, I can't relate to these characters because they're not my gender or my race, for example. And I remember thinking to myself, I can. One of my favourite films of all time is Battle Royale. Not a single whitey in that film.
Yeah.
And I'm really empathetic with all the characters. I understand what they're going through.
Yes, because you as well
Are a human being.
Was once displaced onto an island and had to fight to the death. Yes, we know this.
So which character do you sympathise with most, Plippy? I assume it's one of the really murderous psychopaths.
Oh, the girl that was bullied and went around shagging and murdering everyone. That was my favourite character.
I figured that would be it. It sounded exactly like you.
She basically just goes, "Hey boys, come want to have sex with me?" And they didn't, so she killed them. No, I actually thought
It puts the condom on its phallus or it gets those.
No, it was actually, she's quite good because she was like a bullied, quiet character, and in that environment, she kind of thrived.
Wasn't there like I remember this panel in the manga where she essentially straddles a guy and disembowels him, pulls out his intestines while she's having sex with him. It's really, I can see why you sympathise with her so much. She's very much like you.
Plippy also sleeps around when he's on the desert island fighting for his life.
It's all I've got.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, I'll suck your dick.
Yeah, but the thing is, it seems like these people want writers' rooms that are filled with all sorts of minorities, and just all they do is to.
Do you actually want to know what the root of this is? The ultimate root?
Yeah.
Most of these people realize that there are only so many writing gigs out there that pay.
Yeah.
And these are dominated by white writers because those are the people who've been doing it for the longest time and have the biggest fan bases. So what they're essentially saying is that you can't write from my experience, therefore you should step aside and give me the publication slot.
Yeah.
And the money.
That is the basis of this. And
the whole thing, these things have always been down to me. It's been, sorry for interrupting again, but this thing, I've always I know it's strange, but my thing is always follow the money. It was always when they were saying you need people who are people of colour to write these characters. And I thought about, and I just watched them. They're just basically saying, yeah, I don't have the qualifications, but I'm a person of colour, so you should totally give me the money to do it. That's what it always comes down to. Does that make sense to anyone else?
Yeah.
That's
it doesn't make sense, but it makes.
This is why they argue for quote unquote diversity in authors, not what's actually in the content. They figure that, and their justification is that, well, if you have an author of color, therefore they're going to have more authentic experiences. And I'm doing the finger quotes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This comes back from
the problem with that.
There's that movement that said, sorry, white men, we're going to replace you and step aside and stuff. And it's like, you really think that's the right tactic?
Okay. The problem with that tactic has always been that it's operating under the assumption that minorities need, this white savior bullshit in order to compete. Because of that, any writer that is, a minority who becomes successful is always going to have a taint of, oh, well, you're not a good writer, you're a good black writer, or you're a good Mexican writer, or whatnot. It's saying, first of all, it's automatically assuming that there aren't, more minority writers because everybody is racist. It couldn't be because, the time for people to just write this stuff has been more, easier to do now. But it's a slap in the face. Mm-hmm.
We should acknowledge something in here, though. That is, if you have an author who is specifically writing about an ethnic experience that they're intimate with, I think that's appropriate. That if you have that writer or somebody from a different ethnic group, white or otherwise, who's trying to write on the same thing, you would go with the person who at least theoretically has the more experience in what they're actually writing about. But this doesn't translate into making science fiction better or any kind of fiction better.
It doesn't translate into good writing.
Yeah, and
that's the problem.
it doesn't automatically translate into good writing either.
Yeah, I would actually slightly amend what you said, because I know in America it's basically ethnic-centric about these things. I would say it's, if you have a person who's writing something about, say, for example, something about a certain class of people, you want someone from that class, because ethnicity does not always translate to class.
Exactly. No, I agree. What I'm saying is that it should be a point of consideration, not the point of decision.
Yes. Yeah. There is something to say. There is something to someone writing from their personal experiences being more genuine. But that doesn't mean it's as good writing. That's the problem.
It's just one thing to consider.
I'm just saying, if you're going to have someone, for example, if we're about to write a bunch of characters, if you wanted someone who's going to write, say, an English guy from Oxfordshire who grew up in Banbury, and we're all equally good writers, you'd probably pick me, because I'm the white Oxfordshire. So, yeah, that would be a good consideration. But if you had someone who was writing a white guy from London, and there was two of us, and you had me, the white guy, but you had a black guy from London, that black guy from London is probably a better choice, if all skill levels are equal, if you get my meaning.
Why?
Because the guy from London...
He might be able to bring a better, not bitter perspective.
Yeah, he knows what London's like much better than
or
me.
At least a different perspective. In other words, if what you're looking for is to actually diversify when all other things are equal, that's what's being said here. And you have somebody who may bring, like, hey, okay, here's your experiences in London as a white guy. Here's my experience as a black guy. Well, do we already have books on the white guy perspective? Why not some on the black? That's not a terrible way of doing it either. My
point
is like they draw this line in the sand that it's that
I agree.
Or the identity of the author. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I agree. I agree with you. But my point was basically, if you're going to have a story about a white guy from London and you had me from Oxfordshire, or a black guy who lived in London all his life, skill levels being equal, the guy from London would be the best choice.
Yeah.
Regardless, the race is immaterial.
Well, that's the thing. The problem is that assumption. That where somebody comes from doesn't dictate how good a writer they are.
Yeah, but I said skill levels being equal is what I'm saying on that. That was my point.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as equal skill levels in terms of
this is why I have a hypothetical.
I know. I was
again. Speaking as the actual, the trying to be an author on the podcast. Well, Tarsen as well, but
hey,
here's the problem. No. Allow me to. Here's the problem with your argument is that you're talking about creating or writing you're talking about writing as though it's predestined. What you're picking a main character and the main character's race before you even fucking start to talk about the story. That's a lot of the problem with these ideas of choosing authors based upon ethnicity. Mm-hmm. It's not, you're not creating the best fucking story by doing that. Mm-hmm. What
that's why we're saying point of consideration as opposed to a determining point.
Yeah.
And it would only be in limited circumstances. Like I said, I'm not even talking fiction. When it comes to pure fiction, there's no point because you're not talking about your actual experiences. It's fiction. It's imaginary. Yeah. If you're specifically writing like a biography of being a black child growing up in Brooklyn in 1940 or whatever, hey, you're the guy. You write it.
That's an autobiography.
Yeah, but you get the idea though.
The word is
yeah, but that's the problem.
When your experiences and where you come from actually matter to what you're writing.
Yes, but here's the problem again. This was about fiction. not autobiographies, not even. I mean, it was more about historical.
Agreed.
Fiction, historical fiction. Yes, then you could be talking about it, but I don't know. No,
but
nobody.
the argument ends up becoming eventually, when it comes to science fiction, is you're not allowed to write about aliens because you're not an alien.
Yeah.
Excuse me, guys. I just want to point out, everyone seemed to be getting kind of intense there, and I didn't see what the intense thing was.
Especially since I think we're pretty much all agreed.
Yeah, but
It's just yeah.
If we didn't talk over each other as much, it wouldn't seem as intense. That's why we always talk over each other, to make it seem as if we're actually arguing when we're actually just agreeing really, really loudly.
Yeah, it was just then I was listening to Jan, and I was just like, Jan, I didn't just snipe you.
Jan doesn't know how to turn the intensity off.
I know, I play Overwatch with him. We've won, and he's gotten pissed off.
Jan could be getting a blowjob and still sound like he's angry at everything. This is amazing. This is the greatest thing on earth. Everyone should die. I mean, this is great.
That was the best thing ever, you stupid bitch.
Oh,
God damn it! What the hell? Oh,
maybe that's how he talks to the mannequins. We don't know.
So what were we talking about?
I think the point still stands. The idea of picking who's going to write something based upon the color of the skin. It's idiotic.
Yeah, but
not only that, but telling authors what kind of experiences they're allowed to write about is fucking bullshit. It's authoritarian, restrictive bullshit. And every fucking artist should be against this.
Yeah.
Every person who has a creative fucking bone in their body, and I bet my ass most of the people that actually are against this are the only ones with creative bones in their body, because they understand the implication of telling people, no, you can't write about this because you don't have that fucking experience. Fuck you. What the fuck do you think research is for, you bitch?
Well, think about
down the intensity.
Yeah, GTA 5, the character of because you had Michael Winston and not Winston, that was something else. You had Michael, Trevor, and what was his? It was what's his other name?
He's Trevor Noah.
Yeah, I'm Trevor Noah.
No, not Trevor. Frank. That was his name, Franklin. He was like, I don't care what anyone says, Franklin was the main character in GTA 5. He was the...
he was the one who made the final decision at the end of the game, therefore he was the main character.
I thought he was probably the best written point that I was kind of pissed off I didn't get to play him very... He had really boring stories out of all of them. Written by a white Scottish guy.
Well, no, that's the thing. All right. The acting for the characters that surrounded him, and him in particular, were really well done.
Yeah.
You didn't hear about anybody black complaining about how he was written, because he was written really, really well. And he was intentionally left somewhat vague in terms of who he was, because you were supposed to identify as him being the regular guy that you put yourself into and experience these other characters. He's the straight guy of the group. And the other two guys are completely insane.
Well, that's the thing.
Franklin's the one who has to deal with them.
Yeah, Franklin is the only character in the game that either has massive swings of personality because he's fairly middle of the road the whole time.
Yeah.
He's also the character that no matter what look you give him, it makes sense for his character. For example, if you put, like, Michael in a crappy outfit, it doesn't work because he's supposed to be like this middle-aged millionaire. But with Franklin, I thought he was just so well written because he is literally an Avatar character and he's believable at the same time.
Yeah. But
And
it's the
me-
kind of thing where you can't assume that because somebody isn't the same race as someone that they're not going to be able to write a character well for them.
Mm.
And the problem is it's being used as a benchmark.
Mm.
There are plenty of writers of every race, and that just because they're of that race doesn't mean they're going to write well. I mean, look at the female, some of the writers from Marvel right now that are fucking up everything. Just because they're women doesn't mean they're writing female characters well or properly or decently at all. When you look at like all of the crap that's happened with them.
Do we even want to start with the number of female authors who are out there who produce total Mary Sues as their characters?
Well,
Yeah,
this is not
Yes.
strictly a female problem. But
No,
it's only the females
problem.
that seem to get
But
praised for
they
it.
get pushed into these roles and in these jobs where you're supposed to actually be a good writer, but they clearly got there because of genitals, and now everybody is expected to fall in line and be like, oh well, here's a female character written by a woman. You didn't say written well. And that's the problem. There are really good female writers out there.
Have you ever read the?
You didn't hire her.
I remember the. Have you read the feminist sci-fi book Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone?
No. Was it written by Jessica Black?
Hang on. Let me just look at it. I've read the book, but I didn't know the author book. It was this sci-fi book. And it was written by a man, honestly enough, but he was a male feminist back in the 80s. And here's the funny thing about Friday. She is a complete Mary Sue character. And at the same time, every time she has a problem, it's a complete Deus Ex Machina to save her. Like, she always conveniently falls down a hole, which just happens to have a whole mass of guns and an escape route. She never actually solves... She's a strong, powerful...
Really?
She is a strong, powerful, independent cyborg woman, but she never actually solves any of her own problems.
You mean she doesn't get trapped in a room with some chewing gum and aluminium?
But no, wait.
She's not MacGyver, no.
Rewind for a second. Did you say she drops down a hole that happens to be filled with tons of guns?
As a hyperbolic example, yes.
Oh, so it didn't actually happen, or it did?
No, it didn't. Well, there was like a point where she, as a cyborg, she's got some like hidden plans inside of her stomach compartment, and she has to go through a checkpoint, and because she's the only cyborg, all they catch her. But just as the moment they're about to catch her, something explodes randomly in the distance, and it's never explained why. Everything about her, she never actually solves. This is a male feminist writing this book, which is given as, for example, Neith Sarkeesian and Jonathan McIntosh tout them as great pieces of feminist sci-fi. But if you read it, she never actually does anything. Everything she does is a matter of happenstance. She's just there for the ride. She never thinks of a solution to any of her problems.
And here's what I was alluding to earlier about that. It's a matter of never seeking out a perspective that requires self-respect.
Yeah,
true.
They don't care about self-respect, because if you had self-respect, that you would find that character insulting.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to glean the self-esteem off of the character without actually having to ever actually respect themselves.
I would say it's more of a I think it's a bit strange, but Friday the Cyborg is a character filled with entitlement and privilege. The reason that she survives and wins these situations is because the author has made her in such a wonderful, perfect person that whenever she looks through a situation, you just think, well, she deserved to, but she never actually did it. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's quite common. Anyways, should we move on? Because
I actually had a bit of a tangent I wanted to go on. I just thought it right now.
No.
No.
This is gonna be a fairly minor.
God damn it! We've spent 40 minutes on this topic.
No.
It was really cool.
Okay. How long
No.
is it?
It's gonna be about give me 2 minutes, then I'll shut the fuck up about this.
Okay.
All right, Bioshock Infinite, the collector's edition, is shipping this week, and I noticed that Leigh Zelda and Jonathan McIntosh were getting pissed off about these games getting re-released, saying that they are the worst games ever to be produced. And I thought, really? I love these games. What's so wrong about them? So I went into Josh McIntosh's tweets, and it's the same thing. Because remember when Anita Sarkeesian was saying she didn't like choice feminism because women shouldn't be allowed to choose; they should just be told what to do to further the female race, as it were.
Yeah.
This is when she said that famous speech about everything is sexist, everything is transphobic, and you have to point to all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was going through
Trumps the sisterhood, right?
Yeah, and I was looking through Josh's tweets, and you know what he didn't like about Bioshock? He didn't like the way it depicted multiple sides as possibly going wrong. What he wants is people to be told what to do, not to pay attention to any of the alternatives, and move along. That's always been his modus operandi.
I
always thinks
would have thought that his big issue would be in that big climactic scene in the first Bioshock, where I think his name is Ryan, was it? Basically says a man chooses and a slave obeys, and I was just sure he was going to go, well, that's just sexist.
No,
it's the concept where in Infinite, at least, you're given the situation where this society is clearly racist and clearly xenophobic as hell, and they're vilified for this. They're not good people. It even gives you the choice whether or not to throw, the baseball at the beginning of the game.
Well, basically, that choice ends up the same way either way.
Yeah. And the thing is, I am finishing.
The minor change later on, but the actual mechanics exactly the same.
Here's the thing: the entire fucking game, you like for the majority of basically for the first half of the game, this is a big issue, but then when the actual place is being overrun by the minorities that they basically were vilifying in the first part of the game, culturally, they're not any better, and they're slaughtering innocent people and slaughtering people indiscriminately. And it shows that's how a lot of work, like, it's smart writing, because that's how a lot of conflicts in the world end up happening. You have one group of people who are marginalized, and then as soon as they gain power, they marginalize the group that marginalized them, and then it just goes back and forth for all fucking eternity. And it was very, very smart in how it took that to actually make you think about, well, what's equality and what's revenge. And somebody like McIntosh in no way is going to understand that subtlety, because he is one of those people who wants to marginalize someone.
Yeah, well, it's how it said. The first Bioshock was a cautionary warning on a completely atheist libertarian society run amok. That was the cautionary tale in the first Bioshock. And the second Bioshock was exactly what Ira said. It was a commentary on what happens if a complete theocracy takes over, and then the other side is what happens if the other side takes over. But it's basically a cautionary tale on how all the sides can go bad.
Yeah.
That any ideology can turn monstrous if you do not rein it in.
Yeah.
And because nobody ever does, it always does.
But I just think it's funny that these games, which I thought I loved the commentary in all three of these games, but as an anarchic capitalist libertarian myself, I love the first Bioshock because, that's what could happen if we don't stop being so fucking stupid. And I love the second Bioshock because I just love the art style and the world and the story and the characters.
And you wish you lived there right before the collapse.
To be honest,
to be part of that collapse, really, you're sort of like an anarchist, aren't you? You want to cause this collapse. You want to.
You're Littlefinger, aren't you? Chaos is a ladder.
Tarsen is completely psychoanalyzing me today. That's horrible.
I'm just looking.
I'm just saying that these games I absolutely loved. The people who I think are morons hate it.
The tangent is 5 minutes long now. God damn it!
I do good tangents though, and the video game
I
related.
said no, and you said and you said for him to go on anyway, Jan. It's your fault.
Yeah, I know.
And I've enriched the show. Carry on. I permit you to carry on. I
Because,
await the next
because-
awesome topic.
Yes. The
All right,
EU.
all right.
All right, screw this topic. Back to Bioshock.
No. Let's talk about Talib real quick
You can't
because
Brexit your way out of this one.
History has shown me I can
But
Brexit my way out of anything.
all right, okay, yeah. Let's talk about the Talib thing because it's fucking hilarious and we need some
oh
lightning
god,
there.
then I gotta find the Talib quotes as well.
Hang on.
I've memorized
Whoa,
most of them because they're fucking hilarious. All right, for people who don't know,
opinions, Talib
Jan,
humor.
Jan,
All
check
right.
the chat. Check the chat. I just
For-
put them in
for
the
the-
chat for you.
for the people who do not understand who or know who Talib Kweli is, which is completely understandable because he's a washed-up rapper. Talib Kweli was an MC who basically rode the coattails of a group called Black Star, and then at the same
were
time,
good.
who were good. And then when the Dave Chappelle show happened, he actually got put on the show. And this was before Kanye West was famous. So basically, he rode Kanye West's coattails to get any kind of attention.
Oh, that's
Had an
sad.
album produced by Kanye West and still failed. He used to be somewhat conscientious, but the problem is he kept trying to pretend like he was hard and a thug and this this black kid from the streets. The thing is he grew up in fucking Brownstone, New York. For the foreigners and the people who don't know much about New York, Brownstone is not a poor community in Brooklyn. To give you reference, it's the same place the Huxtables lived on the Cosby Show.
Oh, Jesus Christ, really?
It is a well-off neighborhood where doctors live. Talib Kweli's parents are both doctors.
Yeah, one of them is
a college
professor.
professor.
Yeah.
The other is a college administrator.
Oh
His
my
brother
God.
is a college professor. He has never been poor. He went to fucking boarding school. He is a rich kid.
Oh,
And he
you mean
released
rich
album-
kids can whine
and
about shit?
And he released album after album about how he's from the streets and he's hood and he's a thug and all of this bullshit.
God.
So, which is why people stopped. Like he basically got called out by people, and his career fucking died because he was a fucking fraud. He was a sham. He was a pretender. He's a fucking trust fund kid who got somewhat famous for a split second because of who he was hanging out with. Now, fast forward to now, he basically calls, and he's over everything in all of his actions, overcompensation for the fact that he grew up a rich-ass black kid who never got accepted by everybody else because he was trying to be fake.
He went after Majid Nawaz. For
He's gone after anybody who disagrees with him.
Jan, you have to remember, Najim Nawaz now is a right-wing neocon in the press.
Yeah. He calls
he
anybody and everybody who disagrees with him on any issue a white supremacist because he isn't smart enough to come up with his own reasoning. This is what I warned about months and months and months ago about rich black hipsters guilty that they didn't have to deal with the so-called quote unquote black struggle. He never really had to deal with it. He never really had to put up with it. So now he tries to overcompensate by trying to be like this Black Lives Matter leader, and he's just a fucking hypocrite. And what was funny was he tried to go after the wrong people. Like he picked a fight with people who were going to fight back this time. Namely Tara and Carissa and Neith.
What's the background of Lil Wayne? Because I saw an interview with him earlier this week, and he was the exact no, because he was the exact opposite.
No, he fucking grew up in the fucking poor ass South. That nigga didn't have shit. But then when when he turned 16, he got famous because of the Cash Money Crew, and he had money from that point on. But yeah, he came from nothing. So at least he has that. I'm not a fan of his music, but
no. But is it just me, or is it that the rappers that sort of grew up in the actual hood doesn't fucking support Black Lives Matter?
yes, and that is a common thread because people who have actually lived in or been around very poor black communities are way more worried about crazy niggas gunning them down than they are about the police because that's some real shit. Because in those areas, there's not a single person who hasn't been touched by black on black crime.
Mm.
In some way, in some form, in some fashion, they've lost a family member, they've been robbed themselves, they've been a victim of a crime. And so they don't jump on board that hate train because they've actually experienced, black on black crime firsthand. And that's why Talib Kweli is so fucking retarded with this shit. Because he's calling he doesn't know anything, but he tries really, really hard to convince everyone that he is, which is why he could say something like all anime characters are white because they're not yellow and don't have eyes. Like anybody else before actually posting that would think about that for a second and be like, wait a minute, this might be construed negatively in a matter that might be considered racist. Like, imagine the intelligence level you would have to not look at that and be like, wait a minute, am I going too far? Am I being a little bitch right now?
Yeah, and he would. I mean, I seem to remember that there was an interview with Ben Carson. I'm not sure if he had. No, I'm thinking of another.
You're
black Republican. I'm mixing.
What is you?
No, but the idea that he went after Ben Carson, a black guy who's actually been successful.
No, okay, that's the thing. Is there is this cultural kind of problem where whenever a black man is successful, black people will start calling him not black because he's successful and stops acting, or if he doesn't act stereotypical. And
you see him use the term coon there to refer to him.
Yeah. Because once you're successful, once you break that narrative, you're not one of the cult.
You're off the reservation.
I have an ignorant question. I have a question. I want to know this. I don't know what this means. What does coon actually mean? I don't know what it means.
It's a racial slur that white people basically used to use.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard it.
But white people do. Yeah, that's the thing. There are a bunch.
The origin is raccoon.
Yeah.
Which is at the time it was popular, raccoons were considered pest animals, especially because they got into your garbage and would root around, and so that they were trying to link that behavior to black culture of the time, which was completely off the rails. But the thing is, even that term fell out of favor with white people, like around the 70s, I think. It got to be mocked. The black community
it became a joke.
Yeah,
it's like porch monkey, like where.
You remember the Clerks episodes? Like
it's the kind of thing where it was such a fail racial slur that people stopped using it and started making fun of it.
Yeah,
he uses it unironically because he's more racist towards black people than any racist I've ever seen in my entire life.
My whole point is basically the term coon. I've not seen it. I've never seen it before. I never heard of it until Black Lives Matter started spreading around, and they started calling other black people that.
It's a shorter version of Uncle Tom.
Yeah, it's inherent the racism because in their eyes, because they are racist against their own race, you can't disagree with them or else you aren't that race anymore. You have to. So it's you have to, if you want to be black, you have to dress a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to have a certain set of beliefs, you have to have a certain set of principles, and if you deviate from that, you are no longer black. And they feel that they are the gatekeepers in control of that, which is why they are universally mocked by pretty much everybody else in the community. Because they're corny.
I will honestly say there's only that out, even with Black Lives Matter and, you know, DeRay and all those other people, there is only ever one black man who I've ever actually considered beating round the head with a goddamn metal plate.
This is the guy I linked to during the middle of a stream, and Plippy complained about it on the stream.
I didn't complain about it. I was offended by that fucker, Trey Melvin. What the fuck is wrong with that guy?
And he
Zimbabwe
dictator Robert Mugabe. Mugabe is a black dictator propped up by white supremacists. How the hell? You know Mugabe led a fucking uprising against white farmers and killed most of them.
And drove them and made
but here's why. The logic makes sense to them because somebody disagreed with me. Therefore, they have to be everything that I think is wrong in the world.
Here's Morgan.
In the case of
a white supremacist, he'll be happy to hear that.
And
the thing is when you have somebody like Talib, who complains about privilege and complains about, you know, white supremacy and the world is keeping the black man down and all this bullshit, and still has the sway to have articles written on a website trying to say that it's an art installation, that he's just being retarded on purpose on Twitter, that he literally has a publication randomly out of the blue interview him just like he isn't privileged to have just, you know, an outlet just there to try and make excuses for him instantly when he actually is acting like an asshole and big, like, the dude is homophobic. The dude is transphobic. The dude is all these other things while he's trying to complain about the privilege of white people.
Whoa!
Listen, look at that! Don't think we don't see you using the Nazi terminology of either.
Whoa!
Yeah, Ma is Nazi terminology.
Majus.
The word MUH. Like he is an idiot. He is a rich kid who never ever had to question his own bullshit.
Artivous, I think you're making a huge mistake here. Black people can't be prejudiced. I think we know that.
No, fuck you. You can even dick on that boy.
They can't be transphobic.
I'm so tired of hearing
they
that
can't
shit.
be homophobic. They just can't, okay? Because they're at the bottom, you see. They're at the bottom, and they have to punch up. Black people are at the bottom.
See, that's the problem. I said it was fucking coming. Black kids that came from upper middle class or upper class who are guilty because they didn't have to go through the quote-unquote struggle. And rather than actually own up to that and live lives and actually act like, you know, decent fucking human beings or adults, they want to revert back to that so they can get sympathy and victimhood. And Talib Kweli is a perfect example of that.
And going back to what Tarsen said, he said,
misgendering asshole.
I always misgender everyone. Sorry, call me a bitch.
Bitch.
Thank you. I prefer the word slut load, but never mind. The reason I saw that Trey Melvin thing was like you linked that link during the stream, and I was just like, I actually felt genuinely angry when I saw that one. That really, oof. You only have the like moment of basical, some that really sort of thumps you, and that just an incredibly rich person with a completely rich uprising saying, "Excuse me, the poorest white person in the whole world."
Could you repeat this in English? Sorry, it was really bad on that. I didn't understand what you were getting at.
Yeah, it was just the thing. You know, you linked me the Trell Melvin thing when he was saying that the poorest white person in the world will always have more privilege than me. That video that you linked?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tully said that bullshit too.
That was when I actually felt something genuinely angry. I wasn't laughing at it. I was like, I want to beat you around the head, you stupid bitch.
Even here's the thing.
Saying,
even if go ahead.
No, is what we were saying earlier. Marginalized people who are no longer marginalized that want to marginalize the descendants of those that marginalize them, not realizing that they've lost the plot and are becoming the very thing that they hate.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't care. To them, it's the few that have the sensibility to recognize that that's what they're doing. That they just turn around and say, "Well, we're owed that."
It's
revenge
just,
versus equality.
Yeah, it's just that it really pisses me off because there's a lot of. I'm sorry to have to say this, but there's a lot of Americans doing this.
No, it's perfectly all right because we are.
Yeah,
but here's the biggest problem that I have with that statement. The whole bit with oh well, every white person in the world. Excuse me. All of this stuff that you're complaining about is supposed to be systemic socially. America is not the society of the entire planet. You can find white people in other nations where these systems that you allege exist can't exist. They have to exist entirely on a separate... even if we go with your theory, there are white people elsewhere in the world who are worse off systemically than you are, even if we accept your faith, your articles of faith.
Yeah,
so
and
it's no, I can be treated towards any white person anywhere. I never have to check my own privilege because I don't have any.
Yeah, it's just
check out my gold watch.
Yeah,
exactly. That was great.
Yeah, that's just the thing. I've been watching a lot of history documentary, especially about castles in Britain this week. And they were talking about Carrickfergus, which is a castle in Northern Ireland. And they went through the history of how the Irish have been fucked over by the British during their history.
I didn't do nothing.
No, I'm not blaming any. I'm not blaming any.
It was Plippy.
I'm not blaming any current Brits for this at all, okay? But it's just this.
You should. It was Plippy.
Whoa.
No. But it's just this.
Oh, for the love of God!
It's just this idea of.
Jan, just a moment. Is Zombie Neith around? No?
I don't
She's British.
so.
It's her fault. Okay.
Yeah.
Me and Tarsen are fine.
Really? You're gonna blame the minority British person?
She counts as British. She's to blame. Okay.
It's just that this idea of that's my problem. That's why I said it's mostly Americans doing this because they don't know European history at all. Norway was I know you do, buddy, but
not all Americans.
No, but hashtag not all Americans. But it's just this idea that
Jan's off.
I am fucking off because I've
oh God,
so
Jan, calm the hell down and speak a coherent sentence.
It's Norway.
Shut up, Roy.
Norway, Poland, Ireland, and several other young European countries have gone through periods of being under other countries. So it's not exclusively to black people, and it's not exclusive. Slavery is not exclusively to them either. The starvation catastrophes are not exclusive to them either. They seem to involve the Brits a lot when it comes to sort of fucking up during European history, but I don't blame the Brits for that at all because we used to rape and pillage them. So,
here's the thing. You know what I was saying earlier when I was saying about race and I said not race, class. That was the point. That's
the thing.
I'm just trying to say is like, I think I would liken it back to, when feminists always say the period where not all women were given the right to vote. In the UK, do you know what the complete period of all men being allowed to vote versus all women being allowed to vote was?
I think it's like 12 or 15 years.
9 years.
9 years, yeah.
And the reason that the men got all men were given the right to vote when conscription was brought into it. Up until then, we had not every. If you weren't a landowner, if you weren't in the squire, you could not vote.
Yeah, because in the past, the vote, actually, the voting system as we have it now is a remnant of the voting system from Roman times. Mm-hmm. And to be a landowner in Roman times, you had to serve in the army. So voting have always in Europe has always been connected to serving your country.
You and the way that don't realize that you're committing the same.
When you had all men, the point when all men had to vote was when conscription came in. So all men had got the vote because they had to serve in the army.
You are trying to apply logic in history to illogical people.
Yep, but 9 years later, the women merely asked for the vote. And the fact is, when the suffragettes came about to ask for the vote, the women that were against them were afraid that they would get conscripted. That was the retaliation for women's suffrage.
All of these are inconvenient truths to the people who need to understand them.
Yeah. That's always going to be the argument. It doesn't matter how much logic, how much history you throw at ideologues that want sympathy. They don't care.
But they're not listening to us. We get to throw it out in our little corner of bullshit.
My logic!
Artivous, I think you need to understand that sometimes Plippy just wants to show off what he knows.
Yeah, that is true. I have come to terms.
Notice he said that about Plippy and not about me.
Because I know more than you do.
Well, we're used to you trying to throw logic at everything illogical.
And I'm just an arrogant bitch. So
you're the guy with the logic meme, which of course now we know means you're a Nazi. You use Nazi.
It's just, I think it's great that this stuff is starting to be called out in large by the people that they try and speak for, and that is a good thing that I'm seeing now. Is a lot of the people that went after Talib when he was talking bullshit were, black people and women that were like, dude, and Japanese people like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, the anime comment. Oh my god.
That was the stupidest fucking... How do you, it amazes me that he can be that retarded.
Yeah.
Literally nobody on this planet has yellow skin, and that has always been a negative racial stereotype of Asians, because there are no yellow people. If you have yellow skin, you need to see a doctor.
I believe that's called jaundice.
Yes. I couldn't remember exactly the disease that caused it.
My dad had jaundice.
I bet you even he didn't have yellow skin.
He did actually. It was kind of scary for a couple of months there.
You see a doctor, and by saying that, and they need chink eyes, is come on, dude. Like,
I was gonna say, Gara. Oh, fuck me.
You're trying to tell non-white people how, and I think that's what really pissed me off about it.
I hate that term, non-white people. I hate that term, not white people. Like, we are the center. Hang on, sorry, Ira. I hate that term non-white people because when people say people of color, that's kind of includes, it's just white people versus everyone else.
Because white people aren't a color.
Yeah. We are apparently a black.
But no, that's
I'm kind of beige,
you're supposed to be as anti-white as humanly possible. That's what Talib tries to thank the fuck on all the time. But you're an artist telling other artists how they should do their art.
Yeah.
What they don't understand is that even if they group all white people together, we're still a minority within the world, so they really have no place to be questioning us.
Mm-hmm.
You're once again throwing logic at illogical people.
That's literally the point of living, is just to throw logic at people who don't get it.
Yeah, here's the thing about you. Ira.
I concur.
You have effectively, practically, reasonably given up on the logic thing. I still believe. Jan still believes, but I think Jan is way too emotional for my cut of the jib.
I am the leader of the cult of logic, okay?
You're all naive. You don't do it for fun. You do it because you think you can achieve something, and it's all stupid and naive. You just do it because it's fun.
I agree.
Tarsen,
Oh my god, the nihilist has awoken.
Here's the thing: is I had Shikaki on my show, and I had Angela and Dr. Evil on, and Shikaki outed himself as the Christian nihilist on the show.
How?
BRB digging a bunker in the backyard.
Okay.
So God put us on this earth for no particular reason.
God put us on this earth.
It's this concept that I realize people, and they may. All right, you can't force people to be better, and if somebody like that wants to change, it has to come through their own. It has to come.
Kill them. You can kill them so quick. And no one will.
Poor people listening to this with headphones on.
Was that Roy?
No, people have to come
No,
to
that
their
was funny.
own conclusions.
That was Roy.
You either have to drag them into the fire or let them get burned themselves.
Drag them into the fire and let them get burned.
The problem is,
Plippy, I can
do
see
not,
it's you, okay? Stop it.
I literally don't have enough energy to drag all the people into the fire that
My
need
Little
to
Pony is awesome.
Can you mute him already?
That could be Roy, but it was probably Plippy.
Fluttershy is awesome. Burn all the fuckers.
Hey, Plippy.
Roy, what are you doing, man?
Oh, God. Plippy.
Plippy is a terrible actor.
Yeah, he is.
What? I win awards for it.
That doesn't mean anything.
I completely accept all responsibility for everything that was stated.
Thank you.
Oh, anyways.
All right, we have to get into the padding of the Trump.
Yeah, we should. We should.
All right.
There's not much to say other than state the simple. Was it Jimmy Fallon actually did a show with Trump, as all these late night shows go, which is completely promotion fest. He scruffed Trump's mane, should we put it that way? And Trump was humanized, but that wasn't the story.
No.
Dun dun dun.
The story was the complete and total libtard freakout.
It's still going on. I think it's hilarious.
I
Because here's the thing.
No. I thought South Park would be the freak out for the Liberals this week, not Jimmy
No, that
Fallon.
was last season. Now South Park is the enemy, and so they ignore what South Park does.
Yeah,
no
it's
matter
all about
how
the
they-
feeling of betrayal that they have.
It really offered a very valid solution to the problem with football players kneeling during the anthem, which is simply that there is no wrong way to appreciate the anthem. You just kneel, you sit, you stand. It doesn't matter. You're always appreciating it, so you can't protest it anymore. That is the perfect solution.
Yeah.
Fuck every.
Was really stupid.
No, but that entire episode was just genius. And then the Jimmy Fallon thing happened, and I think normies might actually, what the fuck is going on?
Well, okay. Here's the thing with Jimmy Fallon. I am not a fan of Jimmy Fallon at all. I honestly don't think he's that funny. Like he's funny once in a while. He'll always be the guy who they gave the job to so they could get rid of Conan after they screwed over Conan. It's just that's always gonna hurt because I've always been a Conan fan. And,
Conan is funnier. Conan is
but the thing
way
is
funnier.
that still,
Hey, Ira,
because of
Ira, whoa, stop talking for a minute. Mike fist bump, Conan Bros.
Stop talking over the minority. You.
I'm fist bumping my mic for Ira.
No,
makes
you're
no sense.
masturbating. We can all tell.
Oh, hang on.
No, you can't.
There we go. Too late. You've been bro-hoofed back.
As I was saying, for the most part, I'm not a fan of his work, but I do know that, because of, Twitter autoplay and all these vids and whatnot, and even commercials on YouTube. He constantly makes fun of Trump. Like every night, there is a deprecating Trump joke. Every night.
Yeah.
Every night.
And Trump doesn't mind.
It's
and that's the thing. He went on because presidential candidates have always gone on late night talk shows, as long as they've been late night talk shows, because it's good publicity. You know, whether they were like for or against the politics or not, it was an interview, and he came on and he actually gave Trump a job.
Well, we had Bill Clinton and his saxophone, and Hillary Clinton and the jar. And that jar of pickles to prove she wasn't dying.
The whole point of presidential candidates going on these late night shows is to humanize them. To like they aren't this monolithic monster that people try to make them out.
That's a hell of a programming job.
They're people with problems. They're people with flaws. They're people that make mistakes.
Well,
and
in Hillary's case,
not finished, Jen. God damn it!
I want to make a Hillary's a robot joke.
Well, now you've ruined it.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Make the joke now, Jen. Make the joke. Make the robot Hillary joke.
I'm just.
It wouldn't be funny anyway. Let's just move on.
Okay. I'll do it. It would be hard in the case because programming human emotion is very hard. God damn it! You ruined the joke.
Yes, such was my purpose. But the thing is that it's the whole point of them going on to say, "Hey, I'm a human being. I'm a person. I'm not that different from you." And every presidential election, that's usually something that they do. The thing is Trump went on, and he didn't appear like the great Satan super monster that they made him out to be. Trump isn't perfect by any means.
That was their actual complaint. You humanized a monster.
Yeah,
Actually
you made him not look like he's an insane super monster, because it makes people question the people who act like foaming at the mouth psychopaths.
What were they going to do? It's not like Jimmy Kimmel is an ambush journalism outfit. It's a comedy show.
Yeah. I've said this before because Donald Trump, and as everyone knows here, I'm a pro wrestling fan. And Donald Trump has actually he's actually been a big patron of pro wrestling. Surprise, surprise. But everyone who's ever met him from top to bottom has always said, really nice guy. Had time for everyone, spoke to everyone, regardless of...
that's the thing. He's a vacuum cleaner salesman, and those guys are generally nice. When you're a salesman, you have to be nice to be around. You have to, and that's the thing. You can't, you can demonize somebody all you want, but if people actually talk to the person and get to know the person, it's really, really hard to demonize somebody who, sits at your kitchen table.
Mm.
And that's what they're terrified of. I don't think the freak out against Jimmy Fallon would have been big if Hillary weren't dipping in the polls and Trump weren't winning polls right now, even, on, networks that are contributors to freaking Hillary, for crying out loud. We saw that freak out on MSNBC, where a correspondent on MSNBC, the DNC network, literally get pissed off for them saying that unless there's the Clinton Foundation, then AIDS won't be solved in the world. And he freaked the fuck out and went on a rant. And you could see his coworker, I forget what her name is. She's sitting there if I agree with him, I'm probably going to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
But he's right. And there's this hesitation where she's going back and forth, do I co-sign or do I just, what do I do? Because people have been fired for questioning Hillary this election 5 fucking times. And it's that kind of thing where people have had enough of this election. They've had enough of the demonization. And Trump going on be like, hey, I'm a freaking human being, people.
Mm-hmm.
It scared the shit out of them.
To me, it was like I said. It was the point where it was Laurie Penny went off on Donald Trump's daughter. What was her name? Ivanka.
Yeah.
Ivanka Trump has never said or done anything controversial ever.
Well, that's the problem.
And the thing is,
she's not like the other rich kids that act out because their daddies are horrible monsters.
What anti-feminist thing did she do aside from being attractive and be pregnant? What has she done wrong?
You just answered your own question.
And she was
she's pregnant. She's not like Laurie Penny.
And she was described. And she
will never have a baby.
Yeah, and Laurie Penny described that as one of Trump's stupid Barbie dolls. It's like, whoa, feminist. Whoa, feminist.
By the way,
the rules only apply to other people when you're an ideologue.
Tarsen, what
I'm just curious. Like,
wait.
Okay,
No, Plippy,
everyone stop.
You, Plippy!
Everyone listen to me. Everyone listen to me. Shut up, Jan. Shut up,
Plippy. Tarsen.
It's a simple question.
Give me this.
No. Tarsen's been...
For the love of God, Jan, just mute him.
Let me talk.
No.
Tarsen? What were you saying, Tarsen?
How exactly did Trump react to South Park fucking him to death, exactly?
He didn't.
He thought it was funny.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't
think that's the thing,
orangutan joke was funny, though.
He'll take that's the thing. Trump has been taking, like, social lumps and social jokes for decades. So him getting like all of the stuff, that's why he was immune to, all of the slander and all of the stuff and all the mud that's been flung at him, because like they've been saying shit about me for decades. What's so different?
Yeah.
He had already built up an immunity.
You guys completely ruined my joke there.
It
wasn't going to be funny anyway. Just shut up, man. Shut up.
Yeah, but it just shows if you demonize a person too much, people are gonna get pissed at you, or
When you overplay your cards, you generate sympathy.
Yeah, that's
what these people are acting like in the press. They're acting like this is still the three. It's like it's the pre-CNN era where you had three networks and they were able to control anything that came out in the news, and they would just gab with each other on their networks and just like, hey, yeah, how are we going to cover this sort of thing? Oh, well, we're going to do this. Yeah, we're going to do that. But now you have so many people online who can double check all the shit on their own.
Yeah.
And it's no longer like mailing off a physical letter to the editor that takes 3 days to get through the friggin' mail. You just send off a tweet to the son of a bitch. You send off an email.
I think that's actually the problem, because back in the day it used to be, I'm going to send a strongly worded letter to my MEP or my MP. And these days it's like, I'm going to make a joke about you on Twitter. I'm going to have something about Gorka. It's just...
Well, back then that stuff could be routinely ignored. And it usually was.
And these day and age, it's like, it just makes it look stupid.
Yeah. Artivous, you're muted, by the way. I think, actually, Tarsen muted you. God damn it, Tarsen.
I did not. I only muted you and Plippy out of spite.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, but it's this whole...
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah, it's this whole fucking overreaction to people. That's my problem with bipartisan or sort of two-party systems in general. You generally just get two sides yelling at each other, so you don't get a diversity of opinions, and I mean diversity of opinions and diversity of ideas.
It's always, because that's the ultimate divide and conquer. It's always...
Stop it, Tarsen.
Okay.
Tarsen wants to speak and so mutes everybody else.
Yeah. No, he doesn't speak when he mutes everybody else. He just does it for pure
I
spite.
muted myself actually as well.
Fucking
Yeah,
stop.
Everyone.
And thus the entire thing died.
Yeah. Plippy, I will fucking kick you if you don't fucking behave.
I only muted you.
Tarsen, I expect this from, but not you.
This is the thing, though, is that we just
Sorry,
have,
Daddy.
like you said, both sides just yell at each other, and then when you have people, the majority of American voters right now are unaffiliated or independent or even third party. That's the majority. Neither party has a majority. They're at like 30% each, roughly, as far as
I think they're
registration.
down to like something like 20-something at this point.
Yeah, it's better than that, but regardless, the point being that most people want to hear from alternate voices, or they at least want to get more information. They are not on board with the party doctrine, but so many people in the press are, and they act when an independent, or even especially with one of their own, comes back and says, no, I want more info on this. I'm not buying what you're telling me. It doesn't sound right. Oh, well, you're just and throw them into the pit.
Something ist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time to throw you into the pit because you've gone off my reservation. It's like, well, fuck you. I'll go and find another news outlet.
Yeah. Again, that's why the South Park episode was perfect, because it's a turd sandwich and a giant fucking douche.
Yeah.
Yay!
I think what I've noticed with my what's the way to word it? I wouldn't say they're uber liberal, uber socialist, and they've clearly been tooting the progressive horn for a while. But what I've been noticing is, ever since they've kind of noticed the whole progressive thing become a bit, what's the word, regressive, they have not so much turned against it, they have just gone silent on the issues.
I think
A lot of them have doubled down. I mean, Jesus Christ. I haven't watched TYT for over a year.
Yeah, I'm not talking about TYT, I'm talking about my friends. Who,
okay.
For example, I have my best friend. He is married to a professor of the University of York who was spouting the diversity is strength. We've got rainbow flags in all our departments and all that shit now. And he is actually a very clever person, and he was actually full in with the social justice people. But I think he, at this moment, has kind of cottoned on to the fact that the social justice crowd isn't... They're not the good guys. I think he's figured that one out.
Yeah.
But he, like many people, like it was when Anita Sarkeesian proved to be a complete fraud. It wasn't that people were suddenly like redoubling down. It was like the smart people were just not vilifying them, but sliding away.
Shut up.
Slide away.
Yeah.
And
it's the kind of thing where I like to call it the silent majority, because if you look at things like with Brexit, it was assumed that Brexit was going to fail, and because the SJWs and media had been so loud in how horrible you were if you voted for Leave, and and they lost. And it's like that now in the U.S. right now, where there are a lot of people who aren't going to speak up because they see what happens when you do. Like, you look at this Jimmy Fallon shit, you look at this other stuff, and they realize that if they say anything, if they break the narrative, then they're going to come for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't agree with these people. It's like with the only 20-something% of the U.S. women claim feminism. The rest of them can see that these women have completely gone off the rails and have lost the plot and everything. But they know full well if they say anything against them, then they're going to be punished.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to an actual vote where nobody knows how they decided, then that's when people's true intentions and true thoughts and beliefs come out.
Yep.
That's why I keep telling people Trump is going to win this election, because just because the left is loud does not mean they are winning.
Yeah,
I think
at this point, the louder they are, the more of a chance of Trump winning.
Yeah, I think my view is the same as how I consider to be the alt-right. In theory, the team I'm joining. Therefore, white nationalism, keeping white countries white and keeping Western values, but there's something not right there. You know, I think on paper, if I see what they write, it's like, yeah, this completely helps me. But at the same time, it completely goes against my values. Oh.
Yeah,
I think people are just tired of they just want somebody to fix the goddamn problems, and they don't give a shit about the teams anymore a lot of the time.
It's much the same Trump effect, that you've got a lot of people like me who really dislike Trump and a lot of his attitudes and policies, but you look at the current system, and you look at what's going on, and you look at the opposition to him. And it's just like, no, you have to put a stick in people's eyes here, and Trump is the stick to do it with. He's the only one available. So in these various European countries, you got their various right-wing groups. They're providing much the same service.
I think Trump is different to, say, a Marine Le Pen. I think that Trump is more of a
Golden Dawn type of guy.
No, I don't think Trump is Golden Dawn.
I was fucking with you, dude.
Yeah, I think Trump is the ultimate and complete and total protest. Fuck it, it'll be funny at least vote.
Yeah, he's a troll vote.
Yeah. I think Golden Dawn and Marine Le Pen and Brexit and everything, I think these are all fairly serious votes. I think Trump is America.
No, I don't necessarily think that either. That's like saying that a third of Greece is neo-Nazi.
No, seriously. I have talked to a lot of Trump supporters, and it's rarely do they actually talk about policy or plans or anything actually political. The majority of them just want to put a stick in the eye of the Republicans.
Yeah, I agree. I agree to that point. But I think that here's the thing: since the left has given up on the white lower middle class and working class men, basically,
they've given up on white people.
Yeah, they've given up on white people in general.
It's not given up; it's discarded and stomped on.
Yeah. It's not that. They haven't given up. They stopped listening. They stopped caring about
the
lower. Yeah,
the political party.
Yeah, the lower classes of their own fucking countries. They don't care about them. They don't. And I'm not necessarily. I'm not saying that, they're trying to white genocide everybody. No, they're not listening. They're not talking to them. They're not paying attention to their problems. I know they don't have to, but they have to. They have to.
Again, calm down. No,
listen.
They have to.
Listen to me. They have to pay attention.
They have not had to listen to people for generations because corporations control every country. So that's why they don't. That's why you can get away with shitting on.
That might be true. That might be true in your country, but most of
you really don't. Look at the EU.
Let's not quite go down.
I'm not in the EU. I'm in Norway.
Here's okay. Let's just get down to brass tacks on it. The reason why is
Tarsen, stop muting me.
And stop interrupting people.
I was just trying to talk, and then you muted me.
Okay, continue, Roy.
Jesus. I'm in fear now. I'm totally triggered. I'm shaking like right now.
Come on, buddy. Come on. You have to cuddle the horse to be able to get it to move along.
Stop touching me!
This is what
Okay,
you need to be for, so these guys could have this exchange. Okay, thanks.
The basic problem is this, that you've got these people who think that they don't need white people to vote for them because they believe that they can guilt white people into voting for them, thus placing them on a reservation of fear, and they don't have to pander to them anymore. After that, all they have to do is go for the quote-unquote marginalized voters, which will be the swing votes. So once you batter one group into voting for you or will call you racist, one of two things happens. Either you have a bunch of loyal people living in fear of being called racist, or you have another group of people who say, fuck this, fuck you, I'm voting for anybody but you, and if that's you, Kip, Golden Dawn, whoever the hell, fuck off.
You can't shame someone in a ballot box.
That's right.
Well, they can try. And
they certainly have tried.
Yeah, they're gonna try.
No, they've tried for years. The problem is once you're in that ballot box, nobody's gonna know who you picked but you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember it was like when the Brexit vote happened. I went down to the ballot centre, and everyone was pretty chipper and friendly there, and we got a big chat, and he had all people coming in. You had Indian people coming in, and he had whitey whites coming in and everything. I'm sorry, but
whitey whites.
I'm sorry, but white people.
I didn't know that was a race.
Whitey whites and Asian guys, and we were actually just standing outside. We had this. We call them the Los Slantii, but no. No, I was actually speaking to people who own the Chinese takeaway in the town, and they were saying that they were voting pro-Brexit. And it was like, okay, we kind of have like this thing that we go to the voting booth, we talk, and we all have a community moment, but we don't actually talk about how we voted. And it kind of cottoned on to everyone in the spaces going to vote leave, and they were talking about why. And the big talk about why was because the people who came from the Chinese takeaway people came from China, Cantonese areas, were all saying we feel really marginalised. Counterphrasing there, but we feel like we don't matter if we don't come from Europe. I mean, they keep saying they want immigrants, but if you don't come from, India or Europe, they don't care about you. So it was like, oh, bit of a powerful message there.
Yeah.
I kind of felt
that's the first time I've heard that comparison, to be honest.
Yeah, it was just they felt that because there was so much emphasis put onto, we've got to get more immigrants in, and we've got to get more and more people from Europe in, and all this stuff, that people from China and I think some Americans and Canadian immigrants were feeling that they weren't being not so much not catered to, but flat out ignored, because they were just expected to run restaurants and that shit. They actually came to detest the EU because they said this country's been really nice to them. They actually felt that the locals had been really, really nice to them. And yet at the same time, they were being yelled at for not accepting people that were being forced on the community. So that was my perception of the Brexit vote. It had lots of Chinese, Canadians and Americans and people that did not come from the EU as legal immigrants in the UK that actually voted in favour of Brexit.
And see, that's exactly what I was pointing to earlier, that eventually people are going to talk to each other without media control or without political control and realize that people are still people.
Mm-hmm.
And when that barrier is broken, people think for themselves. That's why Trump on Jimmy Fallon, that's why they're freaking out, because it's been Trump's the devil for a year on every talk show, on every news channel. And then
he went to do something stupid like come off as likable.
Yeah, he did something as dumb as come off as a human being and prove that it wasn't a toupee once and for all.
Yeah, what we're seeing is people who bought into their own rhetoric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is as who was it who said it earlier? Was it Plippy or Tarsen who said it, that it's not a toupee, it's one long piece of hair working really, really
Oh,
hard.
that's me.
No, I said it like. Plippy
But the
did,
fact that do you really think that Hillary would have allowed somebody to play with her hair?
No, of course not.
No.
Or
It's
check
it's
or
literally
check her
one of the most
lungs.
humanizing thing I've ever seen a politician do
Or
on a talk show.
maybe ask her to walk in a straight line.
well, wait, was that what
And
Fallon was doing?
the thing
He was trying to
is,
make sure it was like a toupee or something. I thought
Yeah.
it was just head patting Trump. It was like taming him as like a Pokemon.
No, he
the
messed up the hair
long-standing
like crazy.
rumor.
He
The
made
long-standing rumor is that it's a bad toupee, and so if it had been, it would have been a huge coup for Kimmel, and they would have been said, yeah, see, you uncovered Trump, yeah, he has bad hair, and they'd been teasing him about it.
Yeah,
But
Fallon would have
instead-
had the perfect comedic moment if the hair would have come up. But Trump was like,
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is that Trump actually allowed himself to come off as self-deprecating and clownish on national television, and that was it. He looked stupid in that situation, but at the same time, it was his hair.
And he was smiling, and it's a comedy show. It's a comedy talk show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he played along. He
fit in.
he could be self-deprecating, and that is an important factor in likability, because somebody who can, like, people like someone who can, who doesn't
themselves.
constantly take themselves seriously all the damn time.
Yeah.
And you can't. There's no moment like that for Hillary right now.
No, all she did was open a fucking jar of pickles.
That was
That was
tampered with.
more of the prove that that felt fake as hell, and you don't know if they loosened the jar for her already.
Was that before or after she collapsed? Because if it was before,
That was
Before.
maybe
Which
that
time?
caused it.
which time? Are you saying that Hillary Clinton was so exhausted from a pickle jar that it affected her a month later?
Yes.
Possibly. But there is one thing. I'm actually going to be a bit of my old hosty ways are going to come in here. Wayside Creations.
Oh, now you are?
I want to talk about Wayside Creations.
Wayside Creations, yes, good story.
Yes. Wayside Creations were a fan fiction cinema group who made fan films about Fallout.
Yeah.
And they put out this...
yeah.
And they had a kick. I wish Dr. Evil's here because he's way more educated on this than I am. But they put out a video saying of the 4 soul... basically, the creators of Wayside Creations were 4 people. And they were kicked out of their own company.
Well, they weren't kicked out. They were basically pushed out.
Mm-hmm. What happened was they were going to do something for... I think that's called the Legend of Grimlock.
Yeah.
Legend of Grimrock, yeah.
Yeah.
With Geek and Sundry? Wasn't it Geek and Sundry?
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Well, the whole point is that they had a Kickstarter, it got funded, and when they actually went to film it, the money wasn't there. So they asked, why isn't the money there anymore? The question that happened is that they had some shares, and they were shareholders in their own company, and they were asking, where has the money gone? And they got no answers.
Yeah.
What happened is that Geek and Sundry, who will have a person who's in charge of it that we all know very well on this show. Basically what happened is that they got investors in on the Kickstarter, which is fucking depressing as fuck. What happened was that Geek and Sundry actually got people to investors to put money into the Kickstarter. What do investors intend? Money out. Bigger money out. So what they did was they had some investors put money into the Kickstarter to make it succeed. And then immediately they paid out the investors.
Yeah.
Basically gave the Kickstarter that wanted, I believe it was 200,000?
100.
Yeah, it was 100. Whatever it happened, it left them with basically less than $2,000 left. after all investments were paid, which were done immediately.
Yeah.
And what ended up is that Wayside Creations' main people were asking, where has the money gone? We want to make this thing. We have the Kickstarter. We should have the money. What is going on? And the money wasn't there, and they weren't told. And
Here's the thing.
They put out a video saying, "Are you asking why we're not doing legal stuff?" And they basically said, "We can't afford it." And
that's the thing. They basically got, and this is the predatory Kickstarter stuff was something that a lot of people warned was going to be a possibility.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot more common than people really pay attention to that this is happening with crowdfunding. And it ruined a project that I remember watching, the Nuka Break episodes that they did.
Wayside Creations were great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't. The problem is in trying to promote they should have never have teamed up with any corporation in order to try and get that Kickstarter funded.
I don't think they were teaming up who they thought was Felicia Day, Geek Queen,
Yeah.
who is a founder of Geek and Sundry.
Instead, they got Felicia Day, the Anita Sarkeesian knockoff.
Geek and Sundry has screwed over people in the past.
Yeah.
With their predatory kind of stuff, where people have gone on, their YouTube channels and their networks and whatnot, and basically gotten used for, Geek and Sundry to make money.
Yeah.
And so,
Legendary Pictures, I think is it Legendary?
Yeah.
Geek and Sundry, and they had a Felicia Day as their head. I'm not going to call her a prostitute, but I'm going to call her the bait person. Felicia Day.
Yeah. What fake gamer girl is
yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
The window dressing.
Yeah.
Because all of the gamer girl stuff was believable until they actually had her play video games.
Yeah.
On the channel, on the Geek and Sundry channel, and she knew nothing about nothing. She had to bring her brother on
I don't know.
to explain video games they were playing.
It's YouTube Red. I don't pay money to YouTube.
And if I recall correctly, also even when she first started out with, damn it, I'm trying to think of the name of the kid from Star Trek Next Generation.
Wesley Crusher.
But yeah, the guy who played Wesley Crusher.
Will Wheaton.
Will fucking Wheaton, yes. When
Don't
Will
be
Wheaton
a
brought
Hey,
her
Will
on the
Wheaton.
show in order to have, oh look, here's Felicia Day. She's a girl gamer and a geek, and she's just kind of like off in the corner, going like, okay,
Yeah.
not really got this, but this
I
is funny.
remember one of the episodes, because basically they were trying to do Let's Plays because Let's Plays were getting big and they wanted that money.
Yeah.
And Felicia Day and her brother were on, and they were playing Super Mario 3, I believe. And he had to explain. No, it was Super Mario World. And he had to explain to her things about Super Mario World. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wait a minute, you're supposed to be Super Gamer Girl #1, and you need Super Mario World explained to you?
I have played I'm a massive gamer person, but at least Nintendo is my least favorite group.
Yeah, but you still know what Super Mario.
Playing
Brother.
any Super Mario game I've played, and Super Mario games are the easiest games to figure out ever.
Yeah.
Princess-
Yeah, it's the thing. They're games that are specifically made for children, and they've been made forever, and and it wasn't like this was a one-time thing. It was like every game they would play would be a classic game that you should know how to play and I'm not saying like there's some type of standard to be a gamer. It was just super obvious that
she hadn't done that
she
before.
had no idea what she
Jump
was
on
doing.
things, go down pipe. It's not hard to figure out.
Yeah, and so
and she is
they've
used
been-
to be
she's been
going
doing
down
that
pipes
racket.
as she's being an actress. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, it's been a thing where she cornered that market for so long, catering to that crowd.
Well, no, she actually catered. I will actually say this because people always love the Guild. I was a person who instinctually hated that show, and I'll tell you why. It wasn't someone who was laughing along with World of Warcraft players. It was a show that was laughing at World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
it was
something that
It was the fat, obese woman who had nothing else to do but play World of Warcraft. It was the old,
Neith.
middle-aged man who sat in his kitchen because he didn't have a job playing World of Warcraft. It was the Asian girl who was pregnant with 15 kids who had them all in a basket and ignored them while they went play World of Warcraft. I'm sorry. Fuck you. Fuck your negative stereotypes, and fuck you claiming you are some kind of fucking princess having some little bitch boy, Indian boy, fucking sniveling at you because he was in love with you because you were so fucking awesome, you stupid fucking white girl, British head bitch!
Actually, Plippy, the middle-aged man, was actually playing in his shed where he was stealing other people's Wi-Fi. I felt that was a very important trait of his that needed to be corrected.
That and the fat woman was actually the one with the kids. The Asian girl didn't have the kids. She was just the stereotypical Asian bitch.
Yeah,
that's why. The fact is, I actually rambled because I didn't really remember. I was just making it the shit of my head.
Yeah,
you corrected me and made it way worse than what I was presenting.
We do that on this show.
Yeah, it's just that Geek and Sundry. I used to watch that channel quite a lot because I used to watch the tabletop shows with Will Wheaton, and
those were so cringy, dude.
Yeah, they were cringy, but they were a great way to learn new games.
They were masturbatory as fuck to him.
Yeah,
you could go back and watch some of that stuff.
Let me read this shit. Has been a gamer all her life. In the last year, she has actually started making a video series to only hope to improve the video game industry. I'm sorry, I'm reading Will Wheaton's thing about Anunnakis in Time magazine here. Okay, let me go.
Oh, yeah. The thing with Will Wheaton is every single episode of the tabletop show was him acting like he's this king master tabletop gamer. Like this gaming god, and
he's average.
He literally, like, if he wanted the game, which was, obvious, because he was the only one that knew the rules for the game. Like when
he made up rules as he went along as well.
Yeah, he would make up rules as he went along, but he would win a lot of the time, and he would go into like these 5-minute long like speeches about how he's so awesome and why he won and whatnot. Like the whole thing was supposed to be about promoting these products and promoting these tabletop games and giving these artists who had created them attention, and all it ever ended up becoming was, look at me, I'm so awesome and I'm the king of games, and I'm amazing because I'm Will Wheaton and I'm not Wesley Crusher anymore.
I'm amazing because I'm Will Wheaton. Think about that statement.
I have a buddy who has just recently, he's a geek, he's a nerd, but he just recently discovered how bad the Geek and Sundry crowd acts. And he was kind of saying, holy shit, I don't usually like Big Bang Theory, but they nailed Will Wheaton. In fact, Will Wheaton is worse in reality than his fucking character on Big Bang Theory.
He's an asshole in everything. He was even an asshole in the Guild.
Yeah, I didn't realize he had a character in Big Bang Theory. What was it exactly?
It was Will Wheaton.
It was himself.
Yeah, it was himself. Keep in mind, Big Bang Theory hates geeks and nerds.
Yeah.
To be fair, everyone hates geeks and nerds, and frankly, sometimes they deserve it. So, like, who cares?
Are you self-hating, dude?
I hate everyone and everything. It's part of being British. There's no real reason to complain that, this sitcom hates these people that it's talking about. Because, I mean, I hate them anyway. I hated them before I started hating them. I hated them before it was cool.
You're basically a hate hipster?
Yeah, hate hipster.
Hipster. British hipster.
Excuse me, if anyone is the proto-hipster in the group, it's me. I'm older than all of you, and frankly...
The fact that you're vying for this position is the saddest thing I've ever heard ever.
Dude, you're not older than Roy.
How old is Roy?
Plippy,
Roy is the.
I saw the moon landing live on television.
was
That's
that
how
like?
it goes.
Yeah, Plippy.
You do
Recognize first generation furry.
First generation furry, first generation brony. It goes downhill from there, folks.
So wait, you liked the My Little Pony show before it was rebooted?
The original, okay.
I am not.
Okay. Here's the
Flippy realized where he was.
Roy,
The first version I'm going to explain this to you because you asked. The first version of the show had a very Alice in Wonderland feel to it. It was surreal as fuck. It was generally well animated. I would mute the musical numbers because they're usually annoying. But compared to what else was on TV at that time, my other big show at the time.
Flippy's like, whoa.
No, don't mute Roy. He was.
My other big show at the time was
Robotech. Going on
Robotech.
forever.
Yeah.
Do you get that? I watched My Little Pony and Robotech. Those were my big shows.
Anyways,
How old are you?
I want to.
Old enough to have watched the moon landing live on television.
I mean, Roy, all of these things happened before we were even born. We don't know how far back in time we have to go to find out, like, what
The
your
60s, dude.
is. Like, for all we know, you could be talking about a time period in which you owned a slave, and we wouldn't be able to know how back that was.
I don't think Roy is
baby,
old enough to own slaves.
I mean, I'm gonna say this to Ira. I mean, I am from a time where some 20s before that, it was okay to have an Indian boy called Raja to get you your cup of tea. You couldn't give a black person because they were emancipated way before them in the UK. But Jesus Christ, the moon landing? You alive then?
I will clarify this by pointing out that I watched the moon landing through the bars of my crib at the tender age of 18 months.
Yeah, still way older than me, and I feel
Yes.
old.
But since you insisted on something perfect, there you
Dude,
go.
Yeah,
dude.
Mr. Proto Hipster.
Also, for my 13th birthday, John Lennon was shot. It was a hell of a gift.
I'm a proto. I'm not
Well,
a
he was a
proto
douche by that
brownie.
point. Let's be honest. He
I'm
was.
not a proto clopper.
Hey, Plippy. I think even I'm older than you because I was born
dude.
right up. I was born right
how old are
after.
you?
So wait, Roy, were you born on 1972?
No,
No.
earlier.
All right. I was born in the 80s. When was everyone else born?
Or 1959?
The moon
1980.
landing was 1969.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give the dick up when you were born.
I was born on December 8th, 1967 in
I'm 83,
California.
Plippy. You might be the youngest person in here.
To John and Mary Doe.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Tarsen has the sexiest voice in here. He probably is the youngest.
I'm from 1993.
Yep. He's the
1980.
baby.
I went to war before you were born.
Holy shit! I am actually the youngest person around. Fuck me.
Okay.
Mr. Proto Hipster.
Okay. Before Artivous' last word, I wanna kind of say something myself because Magic the Gathering has had a rebellion in its community.
It's so stupid.
Basically, what they're going
man.
through is what the wider gaming community went through like 2 years ago. They are being even. Here's the worst part: Wizard of the Coast is
Never
participating. Yeah. Okay, I should explain. There's this guy, Jeremy Hamley, I think his last name is, who runs the MTG headquarters.
He runs
YouTube.
your PR.
Yeah, no. I'm going to explain the actual thing. Jeremy, who runs the MTG headquarters YouTube channel, which is the second largest or the largest Magic the Gathering YouTube channel online that isn't affiliated with Wizards of the Coast. he
Fight through it, man. Fight
yeah.
through it.
Yeah, he is. He's basically
he had done stuff for for Magic the Gathering for years and had been doing basically free commentary and fluff pieces and basically free good publicity for them for years. But because he had viewpoints that weren't in line with the PR people at Magic the Gathering, who are social justice warriors, they decided to disown him and basically rag on the entire community and basically militaristically tell people that they need to leave if they don't believe in their viewpoints.
Yeah.
Why?
He created a bucket list of them.
Well, he was thinking, what I read was like, Ray can fuck off. If you're this, you can that, you can fuck off. Basically, it all ran down to if you're not a modern feminist, you can fuck off.
Yeah.
What's the reason
he
this
even
is so
named
dumb?
Gamergate.
The reason this is so dumb is that Magic the Gathering has been a dying game for 15 years. It's not 1994 where you were taking over every gaming store. You're a niche, small-ass group now. Not many people play.
Hearthstone and the Witcher Gamer have overtaken you, Magic.
Yeah, you're not top dog and haven't been top dog for a long time.
This is not the hill
Your
to die on.
community cannot survive you splitting it in half. Or anything this small.
No, but it's more than half. It's more than half. The people who are complaining about this shit.
That went without.
And then that's the thing. It's going to damage the community to the point that it's going to kill the game permanently because everybody else is going to leave to play other stuff. You are not the only game in town. Wizards is not anywhere near as big a company as they used to be, and you have shareholders to answer to.
Yeah, they have to answer to Hasbro. They have to answer to fucking Hasbro.
If you were a private company, you could do shit like this. But Hasbro is going to be pissed because you're driving away customers.
Yes.
I think the Magic the Gathering, that blog post, that simply,
it's a witch hunt.
Named people who belong to different groups. And as you say, it was anyone who was an anti-feminist. I looked at it and I thought, holy shit. You are systematically, you're not saying something as vague as, hey, anyone who doesn't believe that women belong here can fuck off. That's a perfectly fine thing to say.
Groups. They named groups.
They named
They want to give people the right to sit at a table against a player at a tournament and say, hey, you don't agree with my views, so you should be kicked out of this tournament that you may have paid to get into because you have to pay to get into Magic tournament.
That is my point. It's like, this is what I think about the modern feminist movement. That it's sucking. They have picked so many enemies right now.
Yeah.
So many. And I don't think the alt-right is their ultimate thing, because I think the alt-right is going to be dead in 2 weeks. But because the alt-right doesn't even fucking know what it is anymore. It's like the Gamergate. Okay. It's the Gamergate shavings of the people who tried to be hardliners
right now. Everybody is alt-right.
Yeah.
Remember though, this isn't against the alt-right per se. The title of the screed is "If you're an MRA, don't play." So he's specifically targeting MRAs. Then when he gets to do his bucket list, he's doing things like
that list is long.
You got stuff here like if you unironically tell people to take the red pill when it comes to gender issues, don't play Magic. He's talking about stuff like if you write screeds about how cultural Marxism is doing whatever, don't play Magic. It's like, wait, if I write screeds, you're not even talking about conduct in a game store or over a table. I can understand if you defend yourself, your right as a white person to call someone a nigger. Okay, hey, guess what? That's a legit statement right there. But at the same time, he bitched somebody out, a friend of his, for calling a friend of his a faggot. Just tossing out the term. It's like, well, if you do that, you have a right as a straight person to call people a faggot. Don't play Magic. Dude, context. And even the word nigger is in context. But this guy is
what if black people want to show up and throw around the N-word? Can they not do it? Like, he didn't even specify that at all.
No, he did. If you defend your right as a white person to call someone a nigger. But I guess if you're Asian...
Here's the thing. As As a bisexual person myself who has had sex with men in the past, am I allowed to call someone a faggot?
Yes.
According to this, yes.
Especially
Because you're not defending your right as a straight person.
You'd go up to a policeman and call him a faggot. You won't be arrested, I swear.
But
Yeah, okay.
it's just like if you identify as a pickup artist. Oh, you're going to go to Magic the Gathering tournaments to pick up chicks. Great. Yeah, that's what people do.
Because anyone.
I'm sorry, but there's never been a lot of women in the Magic the Gathering community.
Do you go to a Magic tournament and go like, hey, baby?
Imagine anyone.
I want to tap that.
Whoa, give me a minute here. Could you imagine anyone say, I identify as a pickup artist and look across the room and not see the Ralph?
It's
the kind of thing where you would never know somebody's political views
shitting his pants.
Like, when you go to a tournament, people don't sit at, like, oh, you're scheduled to play this person. Like, you don't sit at a table like, well, these are my political viewpoints. These are my pronouns. This is what... Can we just play the game? Like,
yeah.
It's...
I used to play back when Mercidian Mask was released. Okay, that's back in 97 or 98?
I like his finishing bit to the bucket list, though. If your response to the above is that maybe these people agitating about feminism and minority rights are the real bigots, don't play Magic. Hey, that's it. We're just shutting down all discussion. I don't want to have a discussion with you.
Yeah,
get the fuck out.
It's just this. This is why I
need to finish the sentence.
Yeah, need to finish the sentence. This is why I brought it up as well, because it's exactly the same as what happened in the gaming community. You see a bunch of fucking assholes invading the and I'm not talking about the alt-right people or the men's rights activists or anybody I know played the game back in the day and may have different opinions to me. I'm not talking about them at all. I'm talking about the people who discovered that, Magic the Gathering, that's a popular game back in 2001, 2002. Oh, we really need to get in on this shit. And then they work to get into the environment. And then they get in a PR position and they fuck up everything for everybody.
The difference is Magic the Gathering isn't a big enough community or a big enough game anymore to survive this.
No, exactly.
It's not like video games. It's not like writing. They're going to kill it. And honestly, considering some of Wizards of the Coast practices in the past, it deserves to die. You can have it. Good luck.
Yeah.
The rest, everybody else will move on to other things.
I still have my 20,000 card collection. I don't give a fuck. It could drown for all I care right now. I used to trade cards for money, like I used to hustle. Yeah.
And make decent.
It's sick for money, so you know.
Yeah, but it's just I used to love I used to love going to Friday Night Magic.
Good tongue work.
God damn it! Fuck you.
Yes, we get it. You like cock. Find another joke.
Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to bring it up, just to show, and it shows that just because they lost in the gaming community, in the video game community,
they tried to spread.
They're trying to spread. They're trying it again. Just
stay
and do as I did. Do as I did. Write a mail to Hasbro and complain. And say that you're not going to buy another fucking set of Magic cards. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But just lay out the... Yeah.
Oh my God.
Was this person actually officially affiliated with...
Oh, the guy shaming him was. The guy who shamed Jeremy.
He was one of the... I think he was... I don't know if he's the head of the PR department.
No, he's the head of the. He's
the head of the PR department.
No, he's the head. He's the head of the Global Community Initiative in Wizard of the Coast. Base.
I say write letters. Stop buying cards.
But don't write letters to Wizards of the Coast. Write
I was going to
letters
start playing
to Hasbro.
again because I wanted to build my wolf deck. But
yeah, I just fucking hell. I was looking for.
calm down.
I was actually thinking about getting back into MTG, and now I'm not.
Because of Terra.
Well, yeah.
But now it's, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Are we ready to wrap up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Say,
I
I'll
was
put
so
some-
close to muting Yan there because he was just speaking gibberish. I was thinking I was going to mute him, and then he ended it right there. Just
Tarsen has been power mad.
That's what I'm here for.
Also, tomorrow night, about 9 o'clock GMT, is going to be the relaunch of my new podcast, The Basket of Deplorables.
Oh! Nice.
What happened is that anyone on this podcast in the chat, I will send a link, and we'll do this tomorrow out to the normal time, and I'll try to get Dr. Evil on. So that is my plug in for tomorrow, and Ira, I think you want to do your final thought, so go ahead, sir.
Thank you. All right. Anyone who's really spoken to me lately knows that I'm really big on trying to impart something on people that I think people don't really have generally. I have this theory, and it's called the one sin theory. It's that people aren't good people until they've done something so bad and so deplorable in their own eyes that they can never really truly forgive themselves. And that moment, that mistake, gives them empathy towards others because they personally realize that they are flawed. The reason I bring this up is to share with you mine. I don't like telling this story, but I think it needs to be told. When I was a child, I was expected to do the yard work by my parents. Now, normally one could say, well, stop being a little bitch and do the yard work. That's what your parents are telling you. The problem is me and Poison Ivy were not good friends. And so every year, no matter what, I ended up getting Poison Ivy. And they never got rid of the poison ivy in the yard, so every year I'd have to spend part of my summer inside covered in calamine lotion, itching like crazy and miserable. So one year I had managed to put off until I believe it was the middle of June cutting the grass and doing the yard work. Until the grass was like freaking waist high, man. At least on me. And so I was forced, pretty much with screams, to go out and do the yard work. And so I started mowing the lawn, and a rabbit ran out of the grass. I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't think about it. I didn't pay it any mind. Till I started seeing the blood. And I realized that rabbit was a mother, and I had just mowed over her nest and slaughtered half of her baby rabbits. And I mentally went into shock. I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't deal with this moment. My father, who wasn't paying attention to what I was doing or what was going on, noticed that I had turned off the lawnmower and had come out to yell at me for a second, but I really wasn't paying attention to what he was saying because I couldn't look away from the nest. And I saw that some of them were still moving, some of them were still alive. And so I sat there and I dug into that nest and I grabbed those babies and I ran to a neighbor who I knew they had rabbits and they were fond of pets and animals and whatnot. And hoping that if I could save it, any of, I think, 4 that were left, that it would absolve some of my guilt for killing those innocent animals. But they had been beaten up in that nest, and their mother was long gone and couldn't feed them. And so they had to be taken to a vet in order for them to survive. But the family I had taken to them to, they didn't have money to do that. And I was just some neighborhood kid, and I didn't have the money to do it either, and I had no one to go to. And so one by one, as that day went on, the rest of the babies died. And so I walked back to the house, and I went back to that nest, and I grabbed a trash bag, and I disposed of the corpses of those innocent little ones. And to be perfectly honest, it warped me a bit. Because from that moment on, I could never, ever see myself as beyond, having weakness or being wrong or making mistakes. I killed those rabbits. They're dead because of my fault. I don't care that I was a child and that I didn't know any better. It doesn't matter. And so from that moment on, it was impossible for me to not have empathy for absolutely everyone. It turned me into an empath. I can't help but feel the pain of everyone around me, no matter how much I try not to. And Lord, trust me, I try not to. And so I see a lot of people. And honestly, I've got to start pointing the finger. Because people, by and large, do not have empathy. They just pretend they do. See, the majority of you, us, were caught off guard by social media. It was this new thing where everybody could have an opinion and say what they need to. But the majority of people never took into account that they might be wrong, that they might have their ideas and their misconceptions questioned. Which is why whenever you see this happen with people, they completely lose their shit, because how dare someone question what they think? Even worse, if they're right. The response is anger and name calling and dehumanization, because how dare they? I look at almost every political and social issue under the sun, and I see this crap. And people don't understand why people see them as enemies. And it's because you're hypocrites. You're hypocrites. I don't care what side of the issue you are on, socially or politically, you are a hypocrite. When you look at a political issue, you are perfectly okay. If you're honest with yourself, with the dehumanization of anyone who disagrees with you on an issue. And you've convinced yourself that somehow, if you do that, that makes it right, rather than draw them in and extend the hand of peace and understanding to help you and them grow as a person together and hold your brother or sister. It's dehumanization. Let me say everything that's wrong with you. And it doesn't matter if they disagree with you on one thing and agree with you with absolutely everything else. They become the enemy. Because you are not strong enough to simply stand back and realize, wait, they're human too. Let me hear them out. Let's have a conversation. Yes, you. You're not above it. I'm not above it. I try to catch myself, but I still do it from time to time, too. Which is why on issues, sometimes you're losing. This is how, supremacist groups gain power. Because you dehumanize people. You want to know why Donald Trump is probably going to win this election? The same way that Barack Obama won the election. Nobody voted for Barack Obama's, stances on political issues. People barely knew what they were. But they saw how the Republicans were acting. How people's response was to Barack Obama. This angry, foaming at the mouth rage of them unable in any way to deal with the fact that what was happening was happening. And people voted against that. Twice. And you told yourself that you were better. You were better than the conservatives that were acting this way. But you're not. Because you've turned into them. Foaming at the mouth rage. Donald Trump has a lot of problems, socially, personally. He is not a perfect man, and I am not a fan. But rather than take a realistic approach to dealing with the person, you've spread lies. You've said falsehoods. You've told people he is things that he is not. And eventually people are going to see that, no matter how hard you try. Which is why he's winning in the polls against someone that, quite frankly, is the worst Democratic candidate for president I have seen in my lifetime. The most corrupt politician I have ever seen. And it's not some conspiracy theory. We know that her and Barack Obama, who was supposed to be our savior, who I voted for, were selling political positions and political power to the highest bidder, who rather than deal with their corruption are trying to reignite the flames of of the Cold War. And you want people to believe you on this. And that's just what I'm talking about. When you're an ideologue, when you can't empathize with those that disagree with you, you turn into a foaming at the mouth moron. You make your own enemies because you refuse to be understanding. And it doesn't matter how right you are. You are a representative of your viewpoints. And this isn't just an American problem, it's a human problem. It's why we're all hypocrites, because we look at this world that's burning down and full of all of these atrocities, and we'd rather only talk about our problems. It's why there's a positive body image movement for fat people in a world where children are starving. It's why people are complaining about income inequality on technology that's made with Asian slave labor. It's this concept you have that you are innocent when none of us are. And it's burning this world now. You make supremacist groups stronger by being the very thing they say that you are. You push for people for power that don't deserve it because they say they agree with one issue for you. You don't fact check. You don't question the media or anybody else's opinion. You don't. You just swallow. You don't ask for proof because you want to believe that your views are right, that your prejudice and bigotry towards other people is correct. So you don't have to grow. So you don't have to change. And you are having the opposite effect. It is getting people killed. It is getting people hurt. And we are all to blame. Donald Trump is probably going to be the president of the United States because you couldn't act like civil human beings to people. Cities are burning down. Businesses are burning down. Cops are being killed in the street randomly because you couldn't be decent human beings. Because you can't call out your own out of fear that you might have to question yourself. But no, not this time. You don't get to ignore the blood on your hands. You don't get to ignore your part in it. We all have to take responsibility or it doesn't change. That's the only way it can work, but let's be honest. You're not going to do that. You're going to go back to your iPhone. You're going to go back to your computer and whatever you need, alcohol, drugs, whatever. Hell, I've tried myself to try and deaden the feeling. But you're going to go back to it and you're going to look away because you dare not look into the abyss. So I'm going to stand here and I'm going to keep reminding you for as long as I have to, probably till the day that I die, that you have blood on your hands. You who claim to be innocent, you who claim to be right, the right side of history, the right side of politics, the right side of social issues. Because you won't call out your own, people are dying. Men, women, and children. I want you to feel it just once. Just once to understand. And to ask you, how does it feel to have your own rabbits? Sweet dreams.